the Netflix docuseries, A Gambler and His Cowboys, is coming out. It'll come out to the public next week. But yesterday, there was a premiere event for Jerry Jones and some of the people who are in the docuseries. So some of the original Cowboys players, some of the 90s Cowboys players, like Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin were there. And they did some interviews. They did some blue carpet things. So this is a clip from that event.
I do believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The Cowboys are a soap opera, 365
The
days.
screening will begin
When it gets
momentarily.
slow, I'll stir it up.
Please take your
And
seats.
so it's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Man, Jerry, this dude is such a genius, man. As much as people try to dog on him with the football sense, he's such a genius, man. Just from a pure business and marketing standpoint, you don't become the most profitable sports business in the entire world without just being. He's just like a good salesman. He can sell you he can sell water to a well, I'm telling you. Because he understands how to make money, he understands that there's no such thing as bad press. Mm-hmm. So whether and people have talked about this before, but no matter what you say or how you feel towards the Cowboys, you're going to consume Cowboys content, which at the end of the day puts money in my pocket. But the thing I push back on him on is he said, and I quote, there is not an amount that he says, he doesn't matter what the amount is, that of the check he has to write for another Super Bowl, which is crazy because the way he's acting as if he's just trying to make the Cowboys more profitable. So it's just this inconsistency. When he says he's all in last year, was he really all in? You just can't tell with the guy. He wants to have it both ways. And the reason also man, you know why those teams were so successful in the 90s?
Why?
There was no salary cap. He could pay Emmett,
Agreed.
he could pay Troy, he could pay Larry Allen. No way. There's no team probably ever since the salary cap got introduced that's going to have that many amount of Hall of Famers on it ever again.
No, agreed. The introduction of the salary cap and the evolution of free agency definitely impacted how the Cowboys were able to make their roster. But going back to this clip real quick, and go ahead and move to your right while I make my point. Going back to this clip real quick, here's my thing about it. I posted it, and it got a lot of vitriol from Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans are up and down my notifications, pissed. Just quote tweeting this post, and somebody, well, I'm not going to say it because I don't like repeating overly negative things, but that chair's making so much noise. But someone said that basically there have been threats made on Jerry Jones. I'm going to put it that way. And my thing is, when I posted it, I'm like, I don't even necessarily have a problem with it for real. Because my thing is, that is part of the team. There's a reason why people say organizations win championships. So if you are looking for a team to root for that you expect to win a Super Bowl and you don't feel like this is going to get you there, then don't root for the Cowboys. But when I first fell in love with the Cowboys, I fell in love with all of it. So yes, I liked the players. I liked watching them play, but I was also fascinated by the story of Jerry Jones. I was fascinated by what he was able to do with the Dallas Cowboys. I was fascinated by everything he brought to the NFL from a business and marketing standpoint, because what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the things that he did for the Dallas Cowboys, they were adopted in some shape, form, or fashion by the NFL. So a big part of the reason that the NFL is as big as it is because of what Jerry Jones brought to the table in terms of how he decides to do marketing. Now, they haven't adopted everything, obviously, but he's done so much for the sport. And so to me, that was just really cool to see this dude from Arkansas just basically place a bet, on whether or not this team would end up being a success. Purchase of the team would end up being a good thing. And for that to develop into what it's become. And also, he's not wrong because, while fans are there's some people who are saying things Well, if you want attention, win championships. Teams that win championships are not getting, or at least recently, right? Those teams are not getting as much attention as the Cowboys are getting. So, like, the Chiefs have a documentary coming out. Is anybody talking about it?
No, because they just lost. They got curb stomped. They didn't just lose. I promise you, if the Chiefs three-peated, I promise you, know what I mean.
I don't know, because 2 is still kind of solid.
It's hard, but like, yo, Pat was like, you could actually argue if Pat was the GOAT if he got that third one in a row.
But the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls and then they lost bad. But that was recent compared to when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls. So if it's championships that matter, then why is it that the most recent winners of the Super Bowl, one of the quarterbacks who people say is the GOAT in the NFL, why is it that his documentary, ain't nobody talking about it? Ain't nobody posting clips from their red carpet or whatever it is that they're doing for their premiere? And not only that, it's one documentary. This is one part. But the Cowboys, who everybody criticizes for not winning in 30 years, get an 8-part docuseries on Netflix. They got an event. They got the blue carpet. They got clips going around everywhere, making the A block of all the popular shows. Fans are actually talking about it. So it's like, while they're trying to prove him wrong, they're actually proving him right.
They are proving him right, but I like to push back. Like, that's set in stone. The 8-part docuseries is not just one season, it's multiple seasons. This is basically what?
You don't think you could do multiple seasons on the Chiefs? You don't think they could do at least 2 or 3 parts? Maybe 4?
But the documentary you're talking about is just last season by itself.
It is, but why is nobody making
Also, it's on
ESPN
Plus compared to Netflix. Like, Netflix is the documentary
it's on
platform.
Disney Plus too.
No. Netflix has been doing this. Netflix is always just going to gain more attraction than Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu. You can do whatever you want. It's Netflix, then it's everybody else. Netflix is just going to gain more attention, 1. 2, I mean, like you said, besides Pat and Kelsey, probably more so than Taylor Swift, like, who else do you care about on that team?
But that's kind of my point. They are recent champions. And people don't care as much about them as they do about Jerry Jones and Mike Irvin and Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman.
That's because the Cowboys just had so much more personality back in the day. And just so much, I promise you,
But look at the things that you're mentioning. Personality, star power, Hall of Famers. None of those things are championships. Here, let me put it this way. If you did something, right? If you like bought a business and you went about it in an unorthodox way, and people were like, you shouldn't be running your business like that. But not only are they still patronizing your business, you're a billionaire. Could anybody tell you shit?
No, of course not. But
Exactly.
I mean, they couldn't tell me how to run it, but I'm not just going to act like all of what they're saying is just based off of pure like jealousy or hatred. I mean, I feel like
I don't think he's assuming it's based off jealousy or hatred. I think he's looking at their actions. He's looking at, okay, y'all gonna tweet all day, like making threats on me saying that, how can this clown run this organization? Y'all can say that all day, but at the end of the day, I'm still getting the most views. We're still making the most money.
But what does he prioritize though? He's saying one thing, but his actions show something different.
That's where we get to your point about how 2 things can be true. Because have you ever heard of the concept called a priority deck? So it's basically this concept, and a lot of CEOs use this concept, and it's basically saying, okay, we have multiple priorities. Now, is the Cowboys getting attention higher in the priority deck than a championship? Yes. But do I think winning a championship is in his priority deck?
Well, yes.
Do I think some of the things that he does may sabotage his opportunity to get a championship? Maybe, but that can happen anyway. Think about how Jerry Jones talks, which also I need to comment on that. Everything that he's been saying, and this is for Cowboys fans, everything that this man has been saying this preseason about what's a risk and what's not, all of that terminology is playing into the themes in this documentary that's coming out. And so these days, I can't tell who's overreacting for content and who is really mad at Jerry Jones, so I don't know. But if you're one of those people who actually is mad at Jerry Jones for what he's saying and what he's doing, just please understand that a lot of this is to connect what he's saying to the documentary that's coming out, because it's called A Gambler and His Cowboys. So he is using a lot of words like what's risky and what's a good bet and what's a bad bet and what could happen. It all plays together. It's all marketing. But anyway, going back to a priority deck, like, yes, I do think that a championship is somewhere in his priority deck. I do think that sometimes he can do things to sabotage the players. But my thing is, the only time I mind it is when it starts to impact the players. And I can tell it does sometimes. I can tell there are some players who grin and bear it, who they just look at it as a lesser of two evils because they do want to like be a Cowboy. And so like they're like, this is what comes with it. Because at the end of the day, every organization has their thing. You know, the Cowboys have Jerry, by his own words, who wants the Cowboys to be a soap opera. You got the Cleveland Browns, who got 6 quarterbacks and made one of the worst deals in NFL history for Deshaun Watson. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, who knows what's going on there, and whether or not their quarterback will actually turn out to be a bust. You've got, like, there's all sorts of quarterback drama if we actually get into it. People talk about Dak a lot, but it's like there's a lot of quarterbacks that are really under par, especially compared to where they're drafted. Every organization has their thing that's just like, what is it about this ownership? What is it about this GM? Every organization has something you could roll your eyes at. So I think sometimes players are just like, all right, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy, and dealing with what Jerry might do in the public is something that comes with that.
But I have a question though. It's just the fact that he presents winning a championship as a priority and as his like top one priority, like on the top of the deck, but his actions show otherwise. So as a Cowboys fan, like, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like he's overselling his priority of winning a championship? Do you personally feel like that's his number one priority, winning a championship? And can you agree that he has presented that as his number one priority to the media and public? When he says words like all in.
When he says words like all in, I don't take him seriously. Or I shouldn't say I don't take him seriously. I don't think he means what fans and pundits try to say he means. I think what all in means to Jerry Jones means something different to us. Now, do I think that he wants to win a championship? Absolutely. Do I think he wants to win a championship because it would add to the soap opera? Yes.
But is that his main goal?
If he had to sacrifice the soap opera to get a championship, I don't think he'd do it.
Damn.
I don't. But I also think that what Jerry Jones is hoping will happen, I don't know if it's expectation, hope, but I think what he's hoping will happen is that the people he puts in place to win that championship, they'll do it. And so he can focus on the soap opera, he can focus on the attention, and he's like, I'm going to get a coach in here who won't take away from the soap opera, but who can hopefully find a way to get us that championship. I think that's a combination that he's looking for. So with that being said, though, let me ask you another question. If you were given a business, let's not make it a deal with the devil. Let's make it a deal with an angel. An angel comes down and says, I'm going to give you this business. Actually, no, we'll make it specific. I'm going to give you this NFL team, Keller. Oh, yeah. And you're going to have this team for 30 years. Now, for the first 5 to 6 years, y'all going to win championships. Y'all are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. And then after that, it's going to be mediocrity, but you're going to make bank. Would you take it?
No, of course I would say. I mean, right now, he was already like, you just don't just like stumble upon the Cowboys. He was already wealthy. Like, I'm saying, like, right now, as the average Joe, of course I would take it. Who doesn't want to be a billionaire? But I'm not going to like sit up here in front of nobody. Like, when you say all in, what do you mean? It could be two different things. Like, your chips are pushed to the middle of the table. Like, there's no second option. There's no like backup plan. You're going all in. You're paying it's a win now. You're paying everybody that you can. You're not trying.
What I mean when I say it can be two different things is that when he said all in, a lot of people applied that, especially because of the timing, directly to free agency. Right? So they expected him to, go and get the best pieces, pay whatever he needed to pay, like, negotiate contracts, however it needs to be done. I think what he meant was that he was all in the sense that he has a list of things he thinks he needs to do. And he's like, I'm committed to doing those things. And I think from his perspective, they go about free agency in a way that makes sense. So it's not the most extreme in terms of doing the most they could possibly do, but it makes sense in terms of the options that they have on the table and what they're willing to do. So all in will never mean to us what it means to Jerry Jones, because he has a certain threshold for what he's willing to do and for what he's going to do and what he feels like makes sense and it's reasonable. And we don't necessarily know the specifics of that. We don't know the details of that. So a lot of things he says, you have to hear it and understand that, like, okay, he's saying this based on his perspective. Like, a lot of these things he's not even saying for us. He's not looking to make us understand or get us to believe something. He's literally just answering the question based off whatever's at the top of his mind. And that's one of the things you have to understand with Jerry Jones and what he says in public and his quotes. He's not always trying to get a message to us. He's like, hey, you asked a question, I'm gonna answer it.
So not signing Derrick Henry makes sense.
To him, yeah. They did not feel like they needed Derrick Henry specifically. And some people will argue against that, obviously, especially seeing how Derrick Henry performed and continues to perform.
Especially against the Cowboys. Do you remember
but
when
listen to how they talk about running backs. Listen to how they talk about players specifically, like especially Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones. They don't give a lot of star players their props. Stephen Jones has literally made comments, and I can't remember exact quotes at this time, but he's made comments suggesting that, like, 5 people at one position is better than being able to get one person at one position. Like these are, apples in the produce section at Kroger or something, right? And so they look for traits, the ability to do certain things, and that's it. So if they get a running back who can, like, let's just throw a few things they've talked about out there. If they find a running back who can catch passes, catch some shallow passes, who can pass block, and who has good lateral movement, knows how to follow their blockers, they will look at all those running backs who are able to do those things damn near equally. They're not going to look at a Derrick Henry and be like, well, he can do those things, but he's Derrick Henry. They're going to be like, no, we need a running back who can do these 3 things, these 5 things. And we're going to pay for these 3 things, these 5 things. We don't care that you're, Derrick Henry. Like, I mean, even when it comes to their quarterback position, they kind of lucked up in getting Dak,
Yeah, 4th round draft pick.
And so just like, I feel like when it comes to the drafting, if you look at it, it almost looks like they put a lot of stock into like their first round, 2nd round. And then after that, it's like, all right, we're looking for someone who can do these things. And they have their board and however they construct that. But just, yeah, if you listen to them talk, I'm not surprised that they don't put a lot of stock into acquiring stars.
So I got a question, though, too. Back to the soap opera thing. I got you. Would you say that the Los Angeles Lakers in the early 2000s were their soap opera?
In a sense. I don't know as much about their story, but, like, yeah, in a sense.
So... But the thing is, they continue to like win championships. So I would say even the Lakers now are a soap opera. Even when Kobe was like on his decline in lead years, it's just the fact that Jeannie and Jerry bust, like it wasn't like them at the focal of attention. It was the play on the court though. Except for like when Jeannie was trying to having that argument with her brother, and then she retained full control after her dad died. I say like that's when it became more about the ownership than the play on the court.
There are so many factors that go into winning a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that part of the reason why Jerry Jones focuses more on getting attention and on marketing than the Super Bowl is because he can control more of that. You can control whether you get attention. You can control marketing. You can control what goes out into the media and what doesn't.
Right.
But there are certain aspects of what it would take to get to a Super Bowl that you can't control. You can draft all the best players. Some of them could get hurt. You could put together a good team. Somebody else could be out there that's better. You could, have a great game. Calls don't go your way. And I'm not saying this like that. These are beliefs of mine. I'm just saying like these are things that when I think about what Jerry Jones has said in the public and what may or may not make sense, I could see that being some of his reasoning. Like, yo, that is out of my control. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to get us some good players. I'm going to get us a competent coach and a good staff and let them do their thing. At the end of the day, it's any given Sunday. I don't know how things are going to go, especially with, what he might consider this pesky salary cap. I got more money than anybody. I should have the best roster, but I can't because the NFL wants parity, right?
Right, as they should. So you feel like Mike McCarthy was a competent coach?
I feel like he was a good coach. He did a lot of things well, and I feel like there were a lot of, I won't say a lot, there were a few areas where he could have done things differently.
Like manage a clock?
Yes, like manage a clock, like training, like the way he approached players improving. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the second segment because we are going to talk some X's and O's today. We're going to talk about some quotes from Shoddy and from Coach Eberflus. And this is a really good segue to get into what the coaches are doing and what they could do differently, in my opinion. So y'all stick with us. It's going to be a couple of minutes to commercials. We'll be back.